Journaling has been one of those things I've always wanted to try.
Lies.
Okay, journaling has been something I've been interested in.
Lies.
Fine, I felt pressured into journaling because all other self-development and self-help creators have tried it and I thought I should give it a go. Go on. Okay, I thought about using a book and I decided against using a book because I don't like writing, it's not fun. I can't read my writing, so if I was to reread the journal I wouldn't really get anything from it. And I was kind of procrastinating and trying to find reasons to not journal, and using a book and saying I don't like writing was a good excuse. And because 2020 was such a great year, I wanted to carry over the feelings to 2021 and treat myself to journaling every day for 365 days. Why not 30 days like everyone else? Because I'm better than them.
Lies.
Okay, more resilient than them.
Lies.
It was to boost my ego, okay, because 365 sounds better than 30. I did a video back in May of 2021 talking about the history of journaling, why I journal, different types of journaling, and lots of other research-related information about journaling. I then explored how I was going to journal and carry on journaling throughout 2021, but this has been a very long year and I've learnt a lot of stuff along that journey.
Now that bit is true.
I started out doing a long blog post on my website just comparing tools, comparing different things that I already knew about, because my thinking was, well, I don't have to do much thinking, it's not personal, and there's very low friction points to all of this stuff, so it should be quite easy, right?
Well, you were wrong.
Yeah, I quickly realised that writing a long blog post each day wasn't going to be possible for 365 days, and I realised that in the first day, so I decided to write a small blog post as well.
Self-confidence.
Yes, my impeccable ability to tell the future meant that I was going to be right.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. Or just giving up.
Whatever. I like the idea of having a superpower, but I very quickly realised that the long blog posts weren't going to last, and the shorter blog posts were what I was going to be able to do for 365 days of the year. And to be completely honest, the reason I did my journaling on my blog was accountability. Even though not many people read the blog and not many people read it now, it was still a sense of accountability, external motivation accountability, to actually do this every day.
Facts.
You can still go to my website and go back to my first blog post of the 1st of January and see exactly what I was writing about, how I was doing it, what I was doing, but I can honestly say that the first few months I had no idea what I was doing.
And still don't really.
I got to a point in April, so I've been journaling for 4 months, and it was a habit. I was used to doing it, I was enjoying it, and it was something that I was just doing in my daily routine, but I was missing something.
Oh, you mean actually using it to do something?
Fine, I was writing these elaborate, thought-provoking blog posts and then just forgetting them and leaving them because they were sort of done. It was sort of like I'd finished them and that's it. It was at this point that I decided to do what any researcher does. I researched it.
Yeah, you mean wasting 3 days reading, watching and listening to people talk about something that you already knew?
This sort of research was the procrastinating type of research, where the depth of explanations was shallow, no real interventions or applications were shared, and it was mainly people's own anecdotal experiences shared through a filtered lens of social media, with, of course, no sources or references to look through.
But that is still classed as research.
At the end of that research, I did the May video and then changed how I was doing the journaling, and I actually changed it to the way I had decided to change it before I did my research, but I did the research anyway. And I managed to use that journaling technique of doing an audio recording and then turning that into a blog post all the way through to December 27, 2021.
So you lied in the title.
Yes, because 361 doesn't feel finished.
You mean 365 protects your ego and it makes you feel like you didn't give up too early.
Anyway, I still wrote blog posts, longer blog post articles when I felt like it, but I had these audio journals in my notes every single day. I had notes on these topics, these thoughts, these ideas, and I was actually making tasks and actions from each of these notes every day and adding them to my task list, my projects list, and adding different reflections from each of those audio journals. Making that realization that my journal notes were actually adding tasks and reflections to whatever I was doing made me think that I could actually add a weekly element to this journaling, a weekly reflection element to all of the journaling that I was doing through notes.
You didn't think of it as journaling at the time, it just makes the story sound better.
What this meant was that all of the content that I was consuming and the notes that I was taking was actually opportunities for me to add tasks and reflect on all of the notes that I had taken and do something with them, be actionable with the notes that I was taking.
So that had nothing to do with you wanting a podcast without guests, because there's actually more effort in that than you first thought.
Okay, that was a minor contributing factor.
You can't hide from me.
So on August 23rd, I had my first weekly reflection podcast, which was alongside my daily journal, which was an audio journal turned into a blog, and my podcast was written notes, weekly written notes summarised, and turned into a podcast, which was just me talking about those things at a surface level.
Oh, but you didn't do a monthly journal, so you can't finish the set. Your perfectionism.
Towards the end of 2021, I had a conversation with Jonathan Stewart on the Notion Nerds podcast, and we spoke about research, site communication, and reflections, and that got me thinking.
A dangerous thing, that thinking thing.
What I realised is that all of the daily journals that I was doing, and all of the weekly journals that I was doing, the podcasts, were all being turned into tasks and reflections which were added to my notes, which essentially is my evidence-based philosophy of beliefs and practice.
Also known as knowledge base.
And the cues I was using to do my daily journal or weekly journal were either from content I had consumed or experiences I had that contributed to beliefs, values, morals of me being a functional, useful human being.
Not wasting your time talking to yourself.
Around the middle of November, I wanted to expand and evolve my daily journals so there were a bit more depth in understanding of what the thought, the idea, the concept was, to bring in some more interpretation, my own interpretation, on these thoughts and ideas that I was experiencing.
You wanted to make your blog useful.
But I didn't want the blog to become this deadline, this self-driven deadline of something that could potentially add stress into what I was doing, so I still wanted to use the 20 minutes of daily reflection that I was doing, but in a different way. So instead of doing 20 minutes of reflection each day on different topics, I could do 20 minutes of reflection each day on the same topic. So instead of having 7 topics of shallow depth, I would have one topic in a deeper depth, because I've done it multiple times over the week.
You're speaking as if you've started it, but it's not 2022 yet, and I don't see any blog post.
I haven't posted any of these new blog posts on my blog yet because 1, I wanted to set up a different project that I'm actually working on. 2, I wanted to finish the daily project journaling at the end of the year so I could start in the new year for this new project that I was doing. And 3, because on the 5th of January I have another surgery and I'm going to be a pirate from the 5th of January, so I'm planning ahead of time.
So I hear lazy, and you're thinking of marketing.
No, I am sensible, healthy, and planning in advance. Looking back on 2021 and reviewing all of those individual posts or the weekly posts, I could certainly do and go through all of the different podcasts, but it's very difficult to get a large overview. Even if I was doing it in something like Notion, I'd still need to read through each different point, each different paper, or go into each of the pages, and I could do it on loads of other apps, but I know Notion is going to be a popular comment in the comment section about this. But I was really missing that monthly review, that monthly recap, that monthly journal of whatever had happened.
Ha! So the perfectionist is getting the better of you.
Not quite, because I'm not doing the daily journaling in the same way, so it doesn't really feel completed because I'm not doing a daily and a weekly and a monthly. I'm doing a daily that is a weekly, a different type of weekly, and a monthly. And I also need to respect my time a little bit and have a life outside of researching and reviewing.
And that spare time from researching, what are you doing with it?
Working on side projects.
Which includes
researching. The Monthly Observations of Coaching Science is a review that I'm going to be doing on a monthly basis that I will be able to go to each month, look at the table of contents and see what papers brought my interest in that month, recent papers and older papers that have some sort of significance currently in the world of sports coaching research, which could be pedagogy, psychology, skill acquisition, etc, etc. And what it allows me to do is I can either skim read it and look at the key points or the applications and takeaways, or I could go into more depth and read the interpretation that I had at the time. And this will be alongside my daily journaling, which will be me exploring one topic, one area, one idea, one concept multiple times throughout the week, and that will be shared on my blog post as a research spotlight,
summarising a topic with deeper interpretations.
This will also be alongside my weekly journal review and reflection, which is going to be a more shallow interpretation and shallow exploration of some of the key pieces of content that I've consumed throughout the week,
summarising various topics with shallow observations.
And my monthly review will be a variety of topics with a deeper interpretation of the understanding, which will be in the mocks.
But you're not going to share everything publicly, so is it really a journal?
I mean, those things I don't share in the research spotlight or in the podcast or in the monthly mocks are probably because they are reaching statements. They're things that I don't really have anything formulated around, and when they become formulated opinions, they will then appear later on in wherever they happen to appear.